Hope you guys are having a good Monday night. Um, I am. I was gonna do just a little bit of painting. I'm not planning on finishing this model because actually I'm gonna go to bed pretty soon here to go to work. But what I wanted to show you was how I use Newsh, which I'm not saying is the correct method because there's lots of people that know how to use Newsh and probably know way more tricks than me. But we were talking about that at one point, and I figured, um, I think I mentioned that I would show you guys the next time I'm doing Newsh, that I would Newsh with you guys. All right, so here's what we got for tonight. We're painting this heavy Myrmidon um, Warjack 4 Warmachine. As you guys know, I'm painting up through my ret, and this one is magnetized. Whoa, it's not hanging out on this cup, and that's going to be a problem for the Newsh if I can't get him to stick. So let's either I have to find a new one, like a new, maybe a better set of blue tack. Let's do that real quick. Let's do some Newshing on camera. This is my first time Newshing on camera. I've never Newshed before on camera. So here we go. Here's that. Here's this. I'm gonna hop on my Discord on air as well, in case we. I've got some things. I was going. Oh, okay. I've got some messages on Discord, and yeah. So let's go ahead and share my screen here. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. All right. There you go. Okay. So if anyone hops on and they have questions live about Newsh, they can join my live channel and ask me a question about Newsh. I don't know if I can answer it, but I can try. All right. So anyways, let's get to it. So first thing I will point out here is I went ahead and primed the model white, and I primed with a Mr. Hobby. What is this? This is one of my favorite primers right now. It's not cheap, guys, and I always try to steer people towards the cheaper primers, but I love this stuff. Mr. White Surfacer 1000, not Surfacer 999. You spring for the good stuff. Surfacer 1000, and I have this in white and black, and it's a great primer. It for you Chaos Black fans, it's actually at this point I'm finding Chaos Black to be cheaper than Mr. Hobby, so it's weird that I'm recommending such an expensive primer, but I will share with you that the results are great. In particular, it just leaves a really hyper smooth finish, and it's super important to have like this hyper, especially when you're about to use Newsh. It's very important to have this hyper smooth finish for your Newsh. So I'm just trying to bend. So you can see I magnetized a weird spot here, and I'm trying to, maybe, so trying to get it to like where it's gonna want to sit flush in there, in that spot. And that might be as good as it gets, but that's a magnetized that's a me problem, not a Newsh problem. Yeah, it looks like I'm gonna have to turn this over a little bit, just bend it a little bit more to get it to fit in there. I mean, it definitely wants to grab. That's the good part. Like, see, it wants to sit nice and flush in there. But anyways, so you can see it's got a really nice finish. Now, I screwed up prior to starting this live stream, and I forgot to prime the sword arm for the Phoenix, which is bad news. So what I did was I hit it with this airbrush paint, which is honestly almost as good. as the Mr. Hobby. Almost as good. AK, oh, I got a price tag on it. AK Extreme White Exo 1A paint. Acrylic polymer dual exo. This stuff, it will go through your airbrush and it's going to leave a very nice finish the same way, very similar to Mr. Hobby. I would say Mr. Hobby maybe just slightly better, slightly more consistent, more even, and that's what we're looking for with Newsh. If you can't guarantee that with your primer, maybe you're using like a flatter, like a more powdery rattle can or something like that. If you cannot get yourself I'm going to call it like, this is close to a satin style finish. It's got a little bit of sheen to it. You can go all the way up to gloss if you want, right? You can come back and apply some gloss varnish onto it if you want to be sure. Or I find that satin is plenty, right? If you're gonna if you have a really flat primer undercoat, get a little sheen on there. It's just gonna help you manipulate your Newsh more. Okay. I don't know why I just like saying Newsh. Newsh. Anyway, let's go ahead and I'm gonna do something that I almost never do on stream. Is I'm gonna show you guys my wonky wet palette so you can see what's going on. Don't have to do this in a wet palette. You can do this in a dry palette. It's totally fine to do this. So here's my wonky ass wet palette made out of a sandwich, like a sandwich Tupperware thing. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a bone color. We're gonna get a bone color onto my Warjack. Okay, because that's where I usually like to start there with the bone color. And so we're going to use this contrast, speed paint pallid bone. I find that GW contrast is a little stickier with Newsh and it's a little harder to clean up. In fact, this is a little bit harder to clean up than just opaque paints. So you might be better off running opaque paints, but because I've done my whole army this way, I'm going to continue to do it this way. Okay, so here's what we wanted to see. We wanted to see the Newsh, right? Newsh medium. Does it actually say? Yeah, it says Newsh right there. Newsh is like the smallest thing on the label. It says medium and a pro acro, but it just barely says Newsh there. All right, so we're gonna give our Newsh a good shake because this stuff it's kind of viscous, right? It's kind of viscous. All right, so we're gonna make ourselves a little pile of Newsh here in the corner, right? That's about like 6 or 7 drops. Your ratio of Newsh to paint, you're gonna have to determine that on your own. I like Newsh. I usually go like 2 to 3, 1 to 3, and then I'm going to add water too because I want this to work properly. All right, so I'm going to add about 4 drops because that was like 8 drops of Newsh. I'm going to drop like 4 drops of our speed paint, and then I'm going to add just a couple of drops of water. You can use acrylic thinner too if you want to do that, but I'm just trying to loosen it up. You can see it's very viscous, right? It's a very viscous paint or a very viscous medium, and I'm looking for a specific like bone tone here. I'm looking for like that right there. I think I'm a little on the light side, so I may add a little more. I'm going to add a little bit more speed paint to this. But you can see I'm just trying to mix this up real well. Make sure the water is getting incorporated in there too. What did I just do with that? What did I just do with my speed paint? Man, I am bad at this. hold on, man. Here it is. Okay, let me just add like another, probably 2 drops is probably all right. So you Newsh to flavor. There you go. That's the tone right there. There you go. This is like for me. I'm looking for basically coffee ice cream is the color I'm looking for here. Your Newsh on a white prime model is going to look lighter than this tone. So you can go a little bit darker. In fact, let's go a little bit darker. Let's just see, because I want to show you that you actually have a really good amount of control here. I want to add maybe 1 more drop of water too. That was kind of a drop of water. Let's do that. All right, making my coffee flavored ice cream a little bit more mocha. There we go. All right. Okay, and why am I choosing this Ret Jack to show you? 1, it's big. 2, I'm painting ret, and 3, the best part is this model has all kinds of difference. It has hard shadows like here and underneath here, and then it's got soft shadows right here, right? And that's the part where your control of the Newsh is really going to go a long way. Is working with the soft shadows versus the hard shadows. Okay. So I'm just gonna prep my brush here, just get the brush wet, and we're really just gonna go for it. Okay, so we're gonna go ham on this bad boy. I'm gonna go on the inside where I will basically leave that Newsh alone, and I'm gonna kind of just go all over the model here, right? And you can see that little bit of satin, that little bit of undercoat sheen is going to give me a lot of working time with the Newsh, right? I'm going to have a lot of Newsh like time to work the Newsh the way I wish, right? And I'm going to paint this, and it's going to look like garbage, right? That's okay. Trust in the process is what I always say. Unless your process involves Joel Embiid winning the NBA title. That was a joke for you basketball fans out there. I don't know if there are any basketball fans out there. Well, no, a couple of my friends watch basketball. I think so. I think a couple of my friends watch basketball, not just me. Like, if you're Filipino, it's almost a requirement to watch basketball. All right, so we're gonna just slop this Newsh on here, right? This part here, a lot of this undercarriage part is actually going to end up being black, so I don't really need to Newsh it. It's not a hard requirement to Newsh the parts that I know are not going to end up being this bone color. But you know, whatever. It's a start. But we're gonna. The goal is not to finish this model tonight, but I want to at least on camera do this step with the Newsh, right? So I'm just kind of slopping this speed paint Newsh mix on the model, trying to get it basically everywhere, because it's gonna form up one of the principal. It's not just a tone. It's gonna act as a tone and a shade for the final look of this model. So it's important that I Newsh as much as I can. And then, you know, what you want this to do, because I want I want like, I'll say 50% of the color to stay overall. I would like 50% of this to stay. I'm going to leave the Newsh on here for a fair bit of time. Okay. Once I get it all on, obviously. Right? Can sometimes be hard or to get all the spots on such an angular model like this. Hey, what's up, Placebo Beat? It is time to Newsh, my friend. We're Newshing. Alright. Alright. So there's that. Didn't it look great, guys? Aren't you really looking forward to how that's... Actually, you probably are. Because you know we don't just leave our models looking like that. The blade here is going to be steel. So we'll leave that. And the hand will be black. But we're going to Newsh the rest of this. Now, on smaller pieces like this, I don't know if that's a part of the blade or if that's just flash. I don't know what that is. I don't think that's part of the blade. I'm leaving it on there for now. Anyway, I'm not going to mess with it right now. Yeah, so I'm going to go like that. Okay, that was the Mr. Hobby. And then this is... I'm actually going to run out of Newsh. But you can see, I'm going to end up doing several pieces at a time because I'm trying to leave... The longer you leave the Newsh on, the better chance it has to do its Newsh-like things. You can actually... I found in some cases you can actually leave it on for so long that the only thing that will work will be damp brush to remove it. So just be aware of that there is a time limit. I'm working with multiple pieces like this, so I am trying to be at least somewhat quick about it, right? But yeah, I'm just gonna Newsh to our heart's content. I'm not sure. So I have the chimeras. I have two manticores already for Ret. So I did not. And the manticore, the problem with the manticore in this three model kit is that the little scything blades that go on the forearms, they're a little goofy to magnetize. I mean, so are the little back vents, but the blades are particularly goofy, so I don't want to... I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it. Alright. Sorry. Last couple of arms here, and we will head back to the original piece because we've given it some time to settle in. Alright. So, again, we're using this as a stain and a shadow and a shade. Right? And this is really the only part here. This part now is really the only part that you need to... How much of your old stuff that you already had were usable with the new... I had 0 of my old stuff. I had Adeptus Ron in Mark II. And I had the whole Ron-stoppable army with all the bald battle mages. It was cool. And obviously, that's all unlimited now. So that sucks. Rip Ron. They mentioned Steve March mentioned though that they may rotate casters in and out of Prime Legacy. So Ron may come back at some point, and I might lose one of the 4 current casters, which is kind of scary. Oh, hey, what's up, Nelson? All right, so here's now that the Newsh has been sitting on this model. Doesn't that look great, guys? Oh, there's some like grit on it. We are going to start to clean the Newsh. And my favorite tool of choice is a makeup sponge. So you can buy, like go to the dollar store and buy a bag of different makeup sponges, and they'll come in various shapes and that kind of thing. And really, I'm going to just start to remove a lot of this Newsh, right? And I'm going to be fairly gentle. If they're particularly stubborn area or piece, what you can do is you can use a damp brush and just brush. The damp brush is basically your eraser. This makeup brush is kind of a nice, I like it as a nice sort of I don't know, it's basically, it is an eraser, but it doesn't, like you have, I find that you have a really fair amount of control here with this, and you can see I'm just treating it like just real gentle with it. And you can, let's say I really want this shadow to sit in here, you can just go super gentle and just kind of leave those parts like that, right? And this is going to leave a really soft, like bone kind of undertone to it, right? And I actually kind of went in quicker than you might go when you're doing the Newsh, but this is really my MO, right? To get to that, where I've got soft shadow in here, I'll have some harder shadow towards the bottom. But I'm going to leave a little bit of just a fairly faint amount of shadow right in there. I don't know how much the camera's picking up on this. It is really subtle though. I will say that. It is very, very subtle, the shade. And it's like dry brushing. You're just going to focus on trying to get the highest parts, you know, as close to back to white as possible. See that? So I'm just going to leave that there. Okay. You know, my heart shape's a little weird to get in here, but I can do it. And really, any place you can't get, like I said, you always have that. You always have the damp brush as sort of your safety net. Okay. And the other thing that Newsh does is it is going to leave a little bit of a sheen. So starting with satin, it's not really gonna increase the satin, but I have found that on flat, if you're using flat primers, matte primers, it gives it a little, it will give it a little bit of sheen, but not like bad in a bad way. It gives it depth, in my opinion. Like my Riz Defender guys, basically just primer. Actually, sorry, my Riz Defender guys, I painted this exact same process with them, and it looks like they look like they've been like, you know, painstakingly painted like with depth because of the Newsh, right? It looks like I was just super careful about everything, but obviously we're not. We're just using this technique here. Okay. But like as you can see, Jack is like we're progressing already. Like that's already pretty far down the progression of what you might expect this to look like when it's done. It's literally come back and paint the black and the blue gems, and look at that, you're basically done. Let me get the head of the phoenix here. Cool. Make sure I've got. But yeah, that's Newsh, man. You can go really subtle with your shading effects. You can leave more on in some places. It's like an oil. You have a lot of control over how the final look is. Okay. Pretty simple stuff, guys. Not rocket science. Right? So we're just gonna Newsh the rest of these. And hey, another reason why Ret is the best faction to collect in Warmachine, because it's so easy to paint now. When I first painted Ret in Mark II, we didn't know there were shortcuts to painting white. You just painted white and white and white, and then people accused you of just priming your models. Right? The look was non-painted painted, but people who had white art, like people who knew what painting was, would look at somebody with a white army and go, "Man, you must have spent a lot of time on that army." Right? About the best tool I had when I was painting my original Ret army was my airbrush, right? And not a lot of people. Airbrush wasn't quite as commonly, in use back then. So it's not it's just not one of those things. Sadly, your makeup brushes, what they're gonna do. Here's an old. Actually, I guess you can kind of reuse. As long as, like, I'm gonna keep these because see, there's like, you can see what color is my army. It's these three colors. You can just keep, as long as I stick to. But you do want to be careful with if it starts getting crunchy or too hard. You don't want to use that when you are Newshing. You have to be careful about stuff like that. But as you can see, what I do, the way I do it, and is I do this step first. I do the bone step, then I'll let this dry. That's what I'm going to do tonight. And then tomorrow, I might Newsh the blue parts. I might not. And It's based on the size of the model. It's based on the size in because what I'm using for the blue is very specialized, and I'll share that with you guys too. Because ret is the easiest faction to paint in Warmachine. The game that I remember, nobody had a painted army when I was playing. When I made an attempt at Mark II back then, nobody had painted armies. Now, like most people have painted armies. Like most people, that's cool. And I'm like, now that can get me like interested, right? But yeah, I don't know what the camera is and isn't picking up, guys. So if this just looks all white to you, I apologize. I really do. I don't know. I hope it looks like not just all white. Hopefully. Ooh, got a stubborn patch right here. You just got to come in a little bit more firm if you got a stubborn patch like that. Okay. Moving along. Almost done. Dude, I got ponies. I got ponies. I know that means nothing to the people that aren't playing Warmachine and specifically Ret Legions of Dawn, but ponies are hard to find. Ponies are very hard to find. And so I got ponies. I got an attorney, attorney, one of those. I got this really hard to find warjack too. Dude, yeah, like I'm styling right now on the Warmachine, guys. Played some more Assyria on Sunday against Matt's Kador, and that was tough. That was tough. Just the amount of armor he has was insane. It was just like fighting a brick wall. But my boys pulled it off. We pulled it off. We had a good feet turn. We had a crazy good counter charge. I feel like I might have actually learned a little bit on how to use Assyria and Hemera, her character Jack. Right? I feel like I learned a little bit, and that's all you can ask for. So that was my first win with Assyria. Viros, I've been feel like he's just easier to understand, whereas Assyria is such a she's a support toolbox basically, but she's 100% support, so you have to be careful with her. So like I've been losing. I lost the first couple of games. The first game was 100 points, which I did not. Felt was way too much and overwhelming. And she got caster killed in that one. And then the second game, we had to call it early because I had an emergency I had to attend to, but that was likely going to end also in a caster kill. So there's that. Okay. All right, and you can see on these smaller pieces with the harder lines that the Newsh is doing both jobs. It's shading. I don't know how much of that you can see. It's shading and it's staining just a little bit, right? And again, I can control that entire process. I think this is just flash, right? Should I clip that off? I don't think that's part of the sword. I should probably look at the kit. Yeah, that does not appear to be part of the Phoenix sword. It doesn't look out of place though with Warmachine aesthetics. It's just, see that right there? I don't know. Do I leave it in? Do I not? I don't know. Okay. So the another mistake is trying to come in and paint tonight. Right? I told you I was going to do another layer of Newsh of this blue in all the energy parts. That would be a huge mistake if I attempt to do that tonight, right? Because what you're gonna do is you're gonna reactivate the Newsh. So don't reactivate the Newsh. This stuff, as you can see, I'm still working here. It's got plenty of working time, and I'm just gonna keep going until you basically just keep going until it looks exactly like you want it to look. That's about it. You just keep going until it looks exactly like you want it to look. Alright, see now I got some Newsh back here, just accumulating behind the head there. But you can see, right? You can see the subtle shadows versus the harder shadows. And look at that, dude. It's like like you're cheating almost. You're using an oil, and it's like, oh well, I got that shadow to fall exactly where I want it. I got all the intensities right where I want them. So I was telling people, like, Newsh, when I first started using Newsh, it felt like a cheat code. Because you're like, dude, you can just basically, you can remove the Newsh with your finger. You can finger paint a cool model into existence with the Newsh. That's really doing exactly what I wanted it to do. I wanted a bone feel to the model, right? It's prime. This model is just white primer. That's all it is. Just white primer, and then my Newsh, and it's smoking, dude. It's like what you try to do with your washes and all your highlighting and all that kind of stuff. And just do like this, dude. And Ret is a little unique because they just, if you look at all the other Warmachine sculpts, all the detail is it's more sharp. It's harder lines. Ret has these softer, right? Has this softer appearance to it. And they definitely, to me, it looks more like it has like an older school anime feel to it, right? Like these are almost like these almost remind me of like the Invid from Robotech. How many colossus you got, bro? Don't even ask me to represent my colossals, bro. What's up, Jake? Yeah, dude. We're just doing some Newshing on my bad boy, my Warjack here. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna change my color scheme when I start on the shadows. I might just like keep rocking this white Newsh because it's so easy to do. And it looks cool at the end of the day. You're like, whoa, he did all this effort, but I didn't. I didn't, dude. You guys just saw me start from primer. What's up, John? I just started from primer. Actually, what I could do is I could show you guys Newsh on this thing, but this thing is supposed to be steel. So what I would normally do is just paint it steel, and then I would do my wash thing after. I have been meaning to try Newsh with inks, just to see what that looks like. Should I just do that? Do you want to try? Let's just look. Screw it. That we didn't touch these sections. Hold on, we didn't touch those sections, and the best thing about painting is it's just painting. You can just fix it if you have a problem. At least that's what I tell myself. I don't know if that's true of Newsh. I'm pretty sure it's true of Newsh. Let's try it, dude. I bet it's gonna rock. I bet it's gonna work just fine. And we're gonna discover something live on air while I'm experimenting. And for once, I'm experimenting on my own model. I'm not experimenting on one of Nelson's models. Nelson's watching. I know. I mean, I don't. Okay, I sometimes experiment on Nelson's models, but not all the time. All right. But I will tell you this, Nelson. If the times that I have experimented on your models, I would come back. If I didn't like something, I would just repaint it for you, right? I'd be like, nah, I don't like that. we would just fix it. We would repaint it. All right. Okay, let's try Newsh with an ink. Let's do it. Okay, so we're gonna follow the same formula I did before, right? Pro Acryl, medium. Why is Newsh? It's so small. When you're looking for like, oh, you guys have Newsh? No, we only have medium. Why is it so small? Who is the marketing department for Pro Acryl? I'm just kidding. Pro Acryl does not have a marketing department. But honestly, if the name of the product is the smallest thing on your label, that's not the best idea, guys. It's not. All right. 2, 3, 4. We're doing a very small area. So we're gonna start here with 4 drops of the Newsh. And then we're gonna try something different because I've been using this product is Hot Fire for lighting effects. I absolutely love this thing. This is MIG acrylic crystal. This color is light blue. My Comic Quest doesn't carry it anymore. It bugs the crap out of me because this stuff is like liquid gold. But we're gonna change it up a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna use P3 turquoise ink. P3 inks are my favorite inks. They're super good. Absolutely love them. They're so good. But and their turquoise ink is pretty rad. This may not look the way I want it to, but we're gonna experiment. I'm gonna do 2 drops. Right, 2 drops of ink. We'll start there. I'll do like that much water just to loosen it up a little bit. Let's get it. Let's try to get this to a tone I like. That's kind of a nice tone. Got kind of like an aqua tone there. That's pretty cool, right? Let's try that. All right, let's apply some Newsh. Again, I'm probably gonna go back to the blue tone, but I wanted to experiment while we're all here hanging out. All right, so I'm gonna Newsh this on here. Right, this is not my color scheme. but I just want to see how Newsh reacts with an ink. I hope Steamforge can redistribute P3. P3 paints are so good. And their inks are so good too. Alright. So we're just gonna apply some Newsh like that. Right? I got a little bit of Newsh creeping over this line right here. So let's just erase it with. And I will point out, I've painted this spot here like 3 times. It's repelling something right there. I don't know what that is. Okay. So I'm gonna just kind of suspend that there on the corner of my. Yeah, you see, it's just repelling. I'm not sure what's going on there. Well, let's Newsh this bottom one. Same thing. Yeah, it's like full on repelled there. You guys are watching this, right? It's like repelled. What's going on? What did I Newsh offend you with? It's really repelling on this one. I'm gonna get extra Newsh on here. Let's suspend that for a second. I've had models like that where the same spot just repel. Yeah, it could be from the primer, like just a little bit too much surfactant there, and it's not wetting. The acrylic is bouncing off of it because the acrylic has such a high surface tension. That might just happen sometimes. If this were resin, it could be because, you know, we didn't clean it properly or something like that. But this is plastic. Did I mention I got ponies, guys? I got ponies. It's true. So we're gonna give this Newsh a few minutes here, and then I just want to see what it looks like. We're just gonna we'll give it a minute. But yeah, is there any more? Let's see. It's been several minutes now. I want to see, can I still, without having to go to a damp brush, is there still parts for me to remove? A little bit. A little bit. It's not much. It's like we got the Newsh has done what Newsh will do in this case. It's looking pretty good though. Yeah, I probably over primed. It's probably where the primer I may have over sprayed. Because honestly, guys, you know you're not. The expectation with primer is you don't have to cover 100% of your model with primer. We're drenching these models in primer. Primer as a function is just supposed to be a thin coat to give you some bite with your top coat. But I use it as and a lot of other people kind of use it as a full-on undercoat. Okay, so I mean that's pretty good. You can, if I have problems like down the line and I don't like something, I just come in with ivory and off-white and it works out just fine. So it looks like I was able to offset some of the wetting problem there just by drenching that thing. Yeah, it's gonna be. I'm probably gonna try this out as a Hydra first because I have a list with ponies. I have a list with ponies with the with the um, with the Hydra, and I think the Hydra is kind of a nice like focus bank, right? Like uh, Assyria has so many like she ends up being so focus efficient. It's like I end up with just I always feel like every turn with her, I always felt like I had too much focus because I would feel Arcanists as well, and they would just fill up the jacks, and I would be like, what do I do with 8 focus now that all the jacks have everything? Yeah, if you see evening gray, you think it's not enough. I know. Everyone does that. I do it too, guys. But the reality is, you don't you don't need full coverage over your model with primer. You just need enough on there to grab that top coat. But do be concerned if you are trying to cover your model and you see primer bouncing off. That means you probably didn't clean something. There's some contaminant on the model. So I feel like these inks I want to leave on. I still want to leave them on a little bit longer. But yeah, um, that turquoise ink is more studio um, red, whereas I use a sharper like blue for them, and then I'll even hit the big gems with Frost Heart, because Frost Heart's pretty damn cool. But I will say, if you're mixing these with Newsh, they can get sticky. Be careful. I don't really like these with Newsh unless you really want to stain. I don't think they don't get along as well. Oh no, don't fall into the Newsh. They don't get along as well as Newsh and opaque paints, or Newsh and speed paints or washes. So yeah, let's just see. Just gonna give this a bit more time. Let's just see. Oh, I'm gonna need a different makeup sponge for this. But still looks very, very wet. I'm feeling like if I leave this on here, I'm just gonna be able to wipe all of it off, and it's just gonna sit in the it's just gonna sit in all the crevices there. Let's give it like, how long has it been? It's probably been 4 or 5 minutes. It's been at least 4 minutes. But it still looks incredibly wet. Right? Okay. Are we good? Do we agree? We should go for it. We need another makeup sponge. Should we go for it? I think we should go for it. Have I been waiting long enough? Let's try. Let's try. I'm gonna go real light, guys. Real light. Let's start on the edge. Right, I'm just barely going over this. Yeah, there's the really wet part. Oops. Actually wiped some of it onto that part, which I do not want. That's how wet that was. It was still really, really wet. Hey, Jason. So it looks like I got most, if not all of it off. And it's just sitting in the edges. I think what was cool about this is with inks, you get better intensity, and you're not as you can see, I left it on there for a while, and I don't feel like I've like unduly stained that. So what I might do, instead of using my cool acrylic MIG deal, I might actually just use blue ink for the model, for the blue effects. Okay, let's get this side. So, oh, that's weird. Look at that. Did you see that? That basically, that thing looks like it gelled a little bit. And I can just go like that if I can't. If I just want to leave that little bit of edge in there, but no. So yeah, looks like you can Newsh with inks, and inks will leave a nice, will leave a little additional intensity. Right? And I can go, let's try wiping more off. Let's say I want to get it like completely whiter in the center. I can do that. That's not bad. Ooh, that's a spot. This spot right here is really stubborn. I wonder if I have to use a damp brush to get rid of that. Let's try. I'm just experimenting with Newsh here. Yeah, see the damp brush just straight up eraser. So if you do have an issue with trying to remove more, just go to damp brush. You can go pretty bright. In fact, let's try something real quick. Well, let me wipe the other one real quick, and then I want to try something. Okay, so there's that. Let's wipe the other one. That ink really just, a lot of the, I probably over applied the Newsh, but it does just kind of sit. But man, it does a really good job of leaving color intensity in the deep crevices. So that's kind of cool, right? That's actually kind of a cool effect right there. Like, just let that dry. That's kind of cool. You could do that too. But who knows with the ink and the Newsh, who knows how long that's going to take to dry. So I'm just going to leave, again, even though I'm repainting this whole thing, because these are supposed to be steel underneath, I'm just showing you, like, you can leave that in there if you want, and it's kind of a cool effect, right? Yeah, that's more like the studio lighting effect, is that turquoise. All right, and then we'll go with the damp brush here, just to get that like mostly back to white. Pretty cool. You just have a lot of control over this. This stuff stays open for a long time. Okay. All right. I'm gonna, just for fun, we're gonna take our old buddy here, and I'm going to damp brush up the tippy ties, just the tippy ties up here. See if I can actually continue to push this all the way back, even as long as that Newsh had been sitting there. And it looks like, yeah, it looks like I still have control over it, which is cool, right? So you are going to be open for a long time. That's the takeaway, is you can come back and fix, right? You can have the same, at least the same attitude that you would have with an oil, that you can just come back and fix whenever. This is with the damp brush. This is the last, basically the last thing that you can use, as this thing had been sitting for quite a while. But yeah, you can remove quite a bit if you really are going for a cleaner look. But I personally like these. I like the light soft shadows. I like that a lot. And he does match the other guys better. Mr. Phoenix. Wait, that's not the Phoenix head. This is the Phoenix head, but he has the Gorgon. He has the Gorgon shoulder pads right now. All right. So yeah, just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a demonstration of Newsh. But as you can see, it does a really nice job. It gives you a lot of different options as far as going like with different shading and lining and that kind of thing. And it just gives you all kinds of open time, so you could just work to your heart's content. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Okay, let's put him in. Let's put him in his Gorgon mode. Right. So you can have the. Right. Is that the right? No, that's this arm. Brah. Ah. We'll go like that. Is it? Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay. So you can go Gorgon mode, or you can switch him over to the Phoenix. Let's do that. Let's put him in Phoenix mode. You don't have the best indication of left right on these. And not that it doesn't really matter, but right. Phoenix has always been a really cool looking warjack. My favorite looking warjack though is basically Imperatus, which is Phoenix with two swords, essentially. It's the coolest looking, in my opinion, it's like the coolest looking jack. Whoa. I don't know if these I got these on right. Am I doing that right? I don't know. I think so. I need to fix these a little bit so they sit more flush. But that, no, hold on. Maybe it's okay. That looks like, yeah, there you go. That fits much better. Okay, cool. Ah, the Phoenix. So yeah. Anyways, messing around with Newsh and this cool Warjack thing. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. So I'm very close to finishing the Legions of Dawn stuff that I want. I almost have all of it. Just got to do ponies. And then they're already. It's great. It's gonna be cool to have ponies. I just don't know. I know the internet says they're the greatest things of all time. I don't know. It doesn't really. It's whatever, I guess. I just realized, why did I magnetize this hand separate when I could have just glued the left hands in and would have been fine. Whatever. Anyways, you guys have any questions, comments, threats? I'm gonna be heading to bed here pretty soon, but yeah, just figured I would show you guys, you know, kind of how I use Newsh and how easy it makes painting this already easy faction. You know, it just goes fast, and you're, like I said, you're already, like, usually if I didn't have the camera on, I wasn't talking and stopping and that kind of thing, like, this thing would be done tonight. This guy would be done. I would have already painted all the black in there. The only thing that would need to be done is I usually texture the base and then paint the base and do all my little flowers and plants and things. But yeah, pretty cool. I do like Newsh is good stuff, guys. It's maybe practice a little bit with it, but it definitely, it will. I don't know if that's the right one. Whatever. It's just gonna be. It's just gonna be. No, that's definitely not the right one. Yeah, practice with the Newsh, and that's pretty cool, right? Okay, so with that, I think we're gonna call the stream here because I'm going to bed. And I'm oh shoot, look at that. See that? I left a bunch of Newsh on this guy's head. Or did he maybe just fell into some Newsh? Who knows? Who knows, guys? But either way, Newsh, you just clean it up. See, it's just even accidents that you didn't intend. Suddenly, it's a happy accident, like Bob Ross likes to say. Let's put it back in Gorgon mode. Because like I said, you're probably going to spend more time as a Gorgon, my friend. Where your other hand? Just, the Gorgon just doesn't, he has these puffy arms like the Helios. He's not quite as cool as the Phoenix. Yeah. Look at me hanging out with Chimera. Okay. He's got his fist in like that, like, roar. Okay. Alright, guys. We're going to call it here. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Yeah, and I'll kick on the camera a little bit more often when I can and in the evenings, right? So you guys can catch up on the many millions of Warmachine stuff I'm painting. All right. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Good night.